Hello everybody and welcome back to a 100% walkthrough by Level Up Pup Gaming. Hope you guys are doing good. Just a few things I wanted to go over before we get started here today is I'm playing this on PC, so that being said, there is the unfortunate chance that this can crash on me, and if it crashes, I'm of course going to edit it out and then come back to the game wherever I'm at as the crash happens, so if I have to do a fight over. But if for some odd reason we're in the middle of something and then all of a sudden it cuts out and I'm back at a site of grace like this, even though I was in the middle of a fight, that's because my computer crashed, and I'll of course explain that if it happens. But just wanted to point that out. That might be a possibility. I purchased some silent mouse and keyboard, so hopefully the clicking that you guys hear is down to a minimum. Oh, okay. Use your map to check your current position, as well as the terrain and surrounding structures. You can update your map with new information by finding map fragments as steals along the road. You can also use the map to freely place beacons of light to serve as landmarks as you explore. Not sure why that popped up right there. This is an NPC. Do not come up and attack this guy. If you attack him, he will give you 3 chances to make peace, meaning he's going to give you 3 warnings. After the 3rd attack, he's going to become hostile and begin attacking you, and he will most likely take you down. He is a pretty difficult NPC to fight. That's with any NPC, most NPCs in the game. Some of them, as soon as you hit them, they'll disappear, and some of them, if you hit them 3 times, they'll become hostile and they'll start attacking you. As a rule of thumb, we are not going to attack any NPCs in the game except for 2. And I'll tell you, when we're going to do that and why. But aside from that, as a rule of thumb, do not touch any of the NPCs. We're going to try and go through this walkthrough with every quest intact. So we're going to talk to and do everybody's quest. We're not going to attack anybody. So let's go ahead and talk to this guy.
Oh, yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden ring? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity.
So in this game, to continue the progression of quests and dialogue, you have to extinguish everybody's dialogue. So after they get done talking a little bit, they will have new things to say. You have to keep pressing talk.
Luckily for you, however, there is one shining ray of hope for even the maidenless. Me, Varre. Take care to listen. Are you familiar with grace? The golden light that gives life to you, Tarnished. You may also behold its golden rays, pointing in a particular direction at times. That is the guidance of grace, a path that a Tarnished must travel. Indeed. Grace's guidance holds the answers. It will lead you, Tarnished, to the path you are meant to follow, even if it leads you to your grave. Grace's guidance will reveal the path forward, most certainly, to Castle Stormvale, over on the cliff, the home of the decrepit demigod, Godric the Grafted.
Now, once you extinguish the dialogue, they'll keep repeating a version of the last line they said.
It's time you set off, I should think, to Castle Stormvale on the cliff, where Grace would guide you, if you seek the Elden ring, maidenless as you are.
And so that's the end of his dialogue for now. And that is Stormvale Castle, what he's telling us we should go to. And that is a big knight on a horse that will get very angry at you if you come near him. So we're going to avoid him for now, but by the end of this episode, I'm going to come back and show you how to take him down. We're not supposed to fight him at the moment because of this. This is called a hero's grave, and there's multiples of these throughout the game, and they have a dungeon inside of them, which was that dungeon that we passed. And in front of each hero's grave is some kind of mini boss or an extremely difficult enemy. This is the one that is guarding this particular mini grave. It just so happens to be the entrance that we come out of the start of the game, so it's sort of a, you know, sick joke from the developers for new players to just get smashed by him and get frustrated. So don't go anywhere near him. But instead, we're going to come down. We're going to grab these. See, it says acquire materials down at the bottom. Anytime it says that, acquire it. There is nothing you do not want to pick up in this game. Pick everything up that is possible, including this. Excuse me. Summoning pools. In each area, you may find effigies of martyrs. These effigies are summoning pools. You'll find it easy to summon other players at these locations, as co-op and hostile summoning signs created with small effigies gather at summoning pools. So, this is another multiplayer thing that we will go into a little bit later when we need to, because we're not going to do any multiplayer stuff right now. But I'm also going to read all the items at the end of this episode that we pick up and all the descriptions for the lore. But in the meantime, just go ahead and come back here and go through here. And me being, you know, an animal lover, I really don't like hearing the noises that some of the animals make when you take them down in this game. Oh man. But unfortunately, it is very necessary. Now, you're going to see these throughout the game. These are skulls that are lit up. You see how the eyes are kind of on fire? You're going to see these everywhere. They drop golden runes. You just got to crack them. Oop. Oh, I just kicked it off the cliff. Oh, there it goes. Well, you crack them open, and it gives you a gold rune that's worth 200 runes. Very, very useful. So you pick up every single one of those that you find. But the reason we're coming back here is to grab a very important plant. He didn't drop anything. When you take anything down, or you kill an enemy in this game, even these little poor creatures can be taken down. And it's actually very important to do this, because you see the white that just appeared, and there's a little white ball on him. That's an item. And so he drops thin beast bones, which are extremely important. We need these in mass quantities. Earthly flowers are important, and then we're going to come over here to see if we can get some feathers. Oh, I missed him. Fortunately, we got to hurt some birds, and we got to hurt some sheep and stuff like that to get feathers and bones to make arrows, which are very important. But come over this way and stay clear of this guy. He won't see us from over here, so don't be scared. Come on over here. Stay away from this lake, too. There's a big, nasty boss down there that we're not going to fight anytime soon, so... Okay, so he dropped a fight pinion, which is what we need to make feathers, or to make arrows. So we can make arrows with just bones, but they don't go very far and they don't do much damage. But the ones with the feathers on them, they're very, very useful. And we need projectiles in this game to get through some dungeons and some really complex parts that would be really hard if we tried to just rush in. Try that one. Nope, not getting any feathers today. But we're going to come on up here, right through this little rock. And like I said, I don't like hurting these animals, but unfortunately it's super necessary in this game to pick up these bones. So unfortunately, go ahead and start clearing out any animals you see. It's kind of cute when they try to run away. You'll see the animation that they do when they run away. Come on, there he goes. He rolls into a little ball. That's pretty awesome. But as sad as it is, unfortunately, it is a necessary evil in this game. But before we go over to that church, I want you to come over here. You see this little bat flying over here. So you're standing here and you can't see anything. You can see kind of a bat on the ground right there. So in order to see how many enemies are in front of us, go ahead and do target lock. And now we see there's one right there, and there's one hidden in that bush right there that we couldn't see. And then there's one flying around. So we're going to run up and we're going to hit the one that's hiding in the bush. Oh, I missed him. Alright, got him down. Oh. So, you generally don't want to fight more than one enemy at a time in this game, because they will overwhelm you. And as a rule of thumb, in this game there is, I'm going to read this real quick. Vanishing an enemy group will replenish your flasks. The number and type of flask to be replenished varies depending on the enemy group. You cannot replenish more flasks than your maximum amount allows. So there are groups of enemies. You'll see, you know, maybe 5-6 guards. And if you take them all out, it will replenish your flask for you so that you don't have to go to a site of grace. Now, it doesn't replenish them fully all the time, but it's extremely helpful and useful when you're far away from a grace and you need to replenish your flasks. We pick up our first gold rune. This is what was inside that skull if I had cracked it open. But as I was saying, it doesn't matter what enemy it is in this game. If you stand there and you don't defend yourself or you don't dodge, any enemy, no matter how, even those skeletons that we saw in the tutorial cave last episode, will poke you to death. So you have to respect every single enemy. You have to dodge every single enemy. Even though, you know, these are just lowly bats at the start of the game, if you try and fight them all at once and you don't try and separate them and sort of take them on one at a time, they will overwhelm you and the pokes will add up and you will quickly die. So in this game, I'm going to be doing a lot of luring out. We're going to be luring enemies out one at a time so that we don't have to deal with groups. So that's very, very important in this game. You do not want to get overwhelmed. So we come in here, and this is the Church of Ellah. Right out here is the Tree Sentinel, the guy that's on the horse. So he's down there, but right here is a gold rune too, so we want to pick that up. It's worth 400 runes. So as I said before, I'm going to subtract 3,200 from what I have right now, so I only have 800 from taking out those bats and stuff. So at a smithing table, you can spend runes and smithing stones to strengthen your armaments. Somewhere in the lands between, you may meet a blacksmith who can make your armaments even stronger. So we're going to go over upgrading our weapons in a couple of episodes. We're not going to worry about it right now because the area we're in, all weapons at base level are going to do enough damage to get the stuff done that we need done. So we're going to save this smithing stone right here. Go ahead and pick this up. This is what you use to upgrade your weapons. And this smithing table particularly can take your weapons up to level 3 and then no higher. We have to find a blacksmith somewhere else to get our weapons past level 3. So we're going to go ahead and talk to this merchant.
You're a Tarnished. I can see it. And I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods.
Okay, so go ahead and do any dialogue that they have, any NPC or any character has, you want to go ahead and get out of the way.
I am of a nomadic people, selling wares as I travel. The land has been tainted by madness since the shattering of the Elden Ring. It's only Tarnished like yourself, who keep things from drying up entirely. Let's say you're a very welcome customer. You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here for any duration. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take my cut. But the important thing is that you survive. Every customer counts, after all.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, with the shop menu, you can spend runes to purchase various items. You can also sell items for runes. Each merchant stocks a different variety of items to purchase. Now, in most RPGs, you'll go to a new town, find a new merchant, and they have new armor that's always an upgrade from what you're currently wearing. That is not the case in Elden Ring. Armor very much in this game is just for fashion. Now, there are armor sets that do increase your defense, but you need to have strength and endurance in order to wear them. So if you are like a dexterity faith build, you're not going to be able to wear these effectively because it'll bog you down. You'll be doing slow rolls and stuff like that. So it's a certain type of build to wear the big chunky armor. There are other armor sets that have good defense, but for the most part, any enemy that you fight can usually take you out in 2 or 3 hits. It doesn't matter what your HP is at and what kind of armor you have on, unless you're doing specific buffs to make you take less damage with magic and items. Armor in this game is pretty much useless. So it's really all just for fashion, and because of that, I'm going to spend some runes that you guys do not need to spend on this armor set. The armor set that you start the game with whatever character you picked is absolutely fine. You can go through the entire game with it. So it's really just for fashion and how you want to look. And I'm just going to spend some runes that I got from beating that boss on some armor so that I have something to wear. And then I'm also going to buy these notes so I can read these and you guys don't have to. And so I'm also going to purchase this telescope just for giggles, and it's going to leave me with 600. I'm going to buy this crafting kit and one of these pots. Now you're going to have 800. I recommend you buy the crafting kit and one of these Nomadic Warrior cookbooks. I'm going to come back for these after I get 2,000 runes and buy all 3 of these. These are how you get the recipes to make items in the game, which is very, very important. So this crafting kit allows us to make items. These are the recipe books that teach us how to make different items. And these are basically grenades. So we need to get these, and the more crafting books we get, the more different kinds of cracked pots that we can make become available. So at the moment, I recommend you buy the crafting kit and Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 1, and then we'll come back for the rest of these materials in just a little bit.
I'm glad you took my warning to heart. You've made an excellent choice.
If you have a crafting kit, you can make various items from materials that you find. Select item crafting from the main menu to make items. You can learn to craft more items by finding cookbooks. You will need cracked pots or other containers to craft certain items. You will not be able to make more of those items than you have containers. Container items will run out with use, but the containers themselves will remain. So that means that when you use a pot, it takes 2 different materials to make a bomb in your pot. Go ahead and grab this grace and sit down. Through your map, you can instantly travel to any sites of grace that you've discovered. However, there are some dungeons and other areas where this cannot be done. So go ahead and sit down, and we're going to make it nighttime. The reason we're going to make it nighttime is it brings out a few more enemies for us to fight for some runes, and also it makes it easier to sneak around these guards that we're about to fight. So go ahead and come on out here, and we're going to do a little farming for some bones and materials. As sad as it is. I'm going to grab all the foliage that we can. If you see any red over here, grab it. And I'm going to grab that skull, and we're going to go fight those bats again. Just for the runes and for the experience. And see, I'm going out of my way to grab these skulls because they're worth 200 runes each. And at the moment, 200 runes goes a long way at the start of the game, especially when I'm at level 1 like I am. So, let's go ahead again, try this one more time. I'm going to sneak up on the one that's just sitting there and get him out of the way, and then kind of back away and try and get it so that only one is coming at me at a time. I don't want to fight both of them. So here's one. Oh, missed him. So roll away. See how he's biting? Oh, missed him. They're tricky. There, got him. Alright, that's one down. And then come on over and... Oh, forgot to lock onto him. Got it. Alrighty. And he dropped us a rune. So go ahead and take out those bats, just for some experience. Get used to the controls, get used to your attacks. Rolling away, jumping away, stuff like that. And then we're going to fight some guards. But I'm going to teach you first how to sneak up on these guards. So we're literally going to take out every guard in these little woods right here just by sneaking up on them. So just walk up in a crouch and then hold forward and press light attack. And then as they stand up, give them a strong charged attack. Oh, I missed him. If they pull their sword out, it's okay. Just go ahead and wait till they attack and then return. I keep missing him. And return. There you go. What did you drop me? Oh, you dropped me a smithing stone. That's always good. The more smithing stones you have, the higher you can raise your weapons and the more weapons you can upgrade. So smithing stones are always good. So go ahead and walk on up behind him. Oh, I hit him at the wrong angle. So unfortunately, just have to whack him to death. Now we're going to pick this item up here. It's going to seem very weird. Gold tinged excrement. So yes, we're picking up poop that has gold in it. It's not for money. It's for poison materials that we're going to craft later. And then, of course, if you don't want to use... Because we'll find flowers later in the game that build better poison materials than the poop does. So eventually, the poop will become pretty useless, and we'll just end up selling it. We'll grab these rune fragments, which we'll use to make rainbow stones later, which will help us in dungeons. So everything is important, really. You can't ignore any foliage, and you can't ignore any items that are laying on the ground. You have to pick up everything you possibly can. So just constantly be pressing the acquire button, which for me is E, so you constantly hear this little dun 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 as I'm walking through areas. That's just me trying to grab everything. Now, unfortunately, another sad thing we have to do is we have to take out every single turtle that we see. And that's even sadder because they're innocent creatures that don't attack you at all, and they curl up like that, and I know it's super sad, but every single one will drop turtleneck meat, and that is a material that we need to make haste for our stamina bar, and it's just absolutely vital and important. So go ahead and walk up and charge attack these guys, and then you critical hit them. And then you're gonna have these little annoying dragonflies that fly near you. Try and take them out because it's pretty important. They drop material needed to craft medicine in the game to heal status ailments and stuff like that. So take them on out and grab their dragonfly head. Come on over here and grab this mushroom. And this is what we're doing. Don't worry, we're always headed towards the next part in the game, but it seems like we're just kind of wasting time or walking around exploring areas. I promise you we're not. We have a purpose for everything, so we do need to clear out these little woods, get all the materials in them, and take out all the guards, because we're going to need the runes. And, you know, as a new player to the game, you're going to need the experience on how to attack and how to fight. I'm just waiting for this dragonfly to come down. They like to fly around and literally laugh at you. You can hear them laugh. They go, hee 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 hee, and then they fly at you. Come on, dude. Come on. Sorry, it takes a second. Come on. Nope, I'm done with that. I don't know what's going on with his AI. There he is. Alright. He gets to live. I thought that was a skull, but it was just a message. You'll see that a lot. You'll think items are on the ground, but it's actually just messages. So this guy's sitting over here by an item. We're going to go ahead and sneak up on him. And then we're going to do the friendly thing and crack his back for him. And then we're going to bonk him on the head. These kookaries are extremely good throwing daggers. Very, very good. They're slow to throw, but very, very powerful. And they stack something called bleed, which we'll go into a little bit later. Go ahead and sneak up on this guy. Give him a crack on the back. And a charged whack. Drop some bolts. Those are always handy. We got a few more guards. One up here. Got some material to pick up first. Okay. I usually, you know, I'll try for an animal, and then if I miss or I can't get to it, then let it go. And then eventually we'll be able... Oop, he turned around before I could do it. I gotta whack it. And I got one more guard sitting by a cave, so we'll go take him out, and then we'll head on over to the next part of the story. Oh, you heard me. Just gotta fight him. Staggered him. That's what that dong was. And when you hear that dong, that means you can do a critical hit. You just step forward and hit light attack, and you'll do the critical hit animation. That root resin I just picked up, very, very important. It's how we make grease for our weapons to coat it with like fire and lightning and all sorts of different stuff. So very important to pick up that grease. Is nearly as important as these herbas. These herbas are super valuable. You got to pick up every single one you can to make pickled turtleneck meat, which is how we get haste in this game. And so you come up over here by where that guard was. There's that campfire. You'll find this little cave here. We're going to go in here and we're going to touch the grace, but we're not going to sit down at it. We're just grabbing it so that we can teleport to it later. So touch the grace and then walk away. Do not rest at the grace. If you rest at the grace, it will respawn all of these guards that we just took out. So if you want to do that, you absolutely can. But if you're trying to just get through where I'm going, then yeah, go ahead and ignore the grace for now. Just go ahead and touch it so that we have it. Because as soon as you touch it, it becomes available on your map, and then we can teleport to it. But if you teleport over to it, it will respawn all the enemies. Anytime you teleport, or anytime you sit down at a site of grace, it respawns everything. And that includes materials as well. And this little thing right here, which I'm going to show you. Teardrop scarabs. There are both crimson and cerulean teardrop scarabs. Defeat them to replenish the flask that match their type. However, you cannot replenish more flasks than your maximum amount allows. So there's another way when you're out and about to refill your flasks without having to sit at a site of grace. These little beetles carry around these little balls, and if they're glowing red, they fill up your crimson, and if they're glowing blue, they fill up your cerulean. And if you see a white one, they drop spells and skills. So those are very important to get to. So we're going to find all sorts of those little dung beetle balls around in the game. So just wanted to show you that. Grab some of these flowers right here. See if we can get a double swoop on the feathers. Yep, there we go. 2 feathers. We'll come back over here and pick up these stones real quick. And then we'll head on over to the grace site. Actually, forgot we got some bats we can fight. Get a couple more runes. Can never have enough runes. So if you come up on here, these ruins always have these little rune fragments on the ground. So these help us make rainbow stones, which can light up paths and help us not get lost in dungeons later on in the game. So let's go ahead and go up and fight these bats. Oh, punk. That's right. Okay. Man, friends didn't even know you were fighting. Oh, see? Just one hit and I'm already at half health, so yeah, fighting 2 of them at a time, not a good idea. I just want to try and single one out. Oh, okay. 1 left, that's good. There we go. And see, that little red thing that just went around me is because I took out a group. And so that healing flask that I used just a second ago is now replenished, and I have 4 instead of 3. And that's because I defeated a group of enemies, which was those 3 bats. So that's how that works. And if I had used any cerulean flask, it would have refilled one of those 2. Go ahead and go up behind this guard and take him out. Wait till he stands up and give him a charged... Wow. Oh! He gets a little bit more of a invincibility iframe because he has a shield that he has to stand up, and the animation was still playing out before I whacked him. So that's why I went through him. But we'll go ahead and ignore that camp. Go ahead and take him out just for the runes. But ignore this camp right here. We're going to do it in a second. But before we do, we're going to grab over... We're going to come over here and grab this grace. Oh, I completely forgot. Excuse me. Put on my armor so I'm not running around in my skimmies no more. There we go. That's better. Like I said, the armor is just for show. You do not have to concern yourself with purchasing new armor sets from merchants, ever. It's only for style and if you like the way the armor looks.
Greetings, traveler from beyond the fog. I am Melina. offer you an accord. Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the two fingers, offering guidance and aid to the Tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Ep.3.
Accept.
Then it's settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring. Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
Alright, so now we got a new option to level up.
Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions,
With the
the
level
principles you would follow.
With the level up menu, you can spend runes to increase your attributes. With each attribute increase, your level rises by 1. As your level rises, so do the amount of runes required for your next attribute increase. So, here we are. We have 800 runes. We can go ahead and level up once. So, leveling up in this game is excruciatingly slow. But once you get the stats that you need to the limit, then it's just all you're doing is, by the end of the game, we're just going to be leveling up 1 or 2 stats. So we're going to focus on vigor, mind, and endurance first. These are the first 3 stats that we want to focus most of our early level ups into. And then I'm going to go with strength and faith at the start of this game. When we get to a point where I can change where my attributes go to, I can basically change my entire character. I'll show you how to do that, and I will do different builds. I'm going to switch the build that I'm using from strength and faith, and then I'm going to switch to dexterity and faith, and then I'm going to switch to intelligence and dexterity, intelligence and strength, and then I'm going to end the game with dexterity and arcane. I'm going to do that so that I can showcase a few different, I can showcase the spells in the game, and I can showcase different weapons and different play styles, basically. I won't be able to show you everything because some weapons in the game take forever to farm from certain enemies and they're super rare. So unfortunately, I'll only be able to show you whatever we pick up along the way. But starting off, the very first thing you want to do is start leveling up your vigor, because this is your health, and if you don't do this, as you go through the game, you'll notice that you'll get into fights where one shot is all it takes to take you out, and that's going to make it very, very difficult. So we're going to start by going into our vigor. We're not going to worry about mind right now because we're not using too many spells or anything like that. So we're going to go vigor, endurance, because we need to start upping our stamina, and we need to up our max equip load so that we can start carrying weapons and armor and stuff like that we find. And then the next level up after that, we'll go into strength, and then eventually we'll start leveling up faith, but right now it's just going to go back to vigor. So for the first probably like 10 to 15 levels, it's just going to go vigor, endurance, strength, and then back to vigor. And then eventually I'm going to start leveling up faith. So whatever your 2 attack stats that you're using, whether it's dexterity and faith, dexterity and arcane, strength and faith, go ahead and start leveling up the one that you're picking for your weapons, and then wait to level up your magic for just a little bit, because we're not going to find too much stuff at the beginning of the game. It'll come really sort of towards like maybe 30 to 40 hours in. So the first ones, we're just going to focus on getting a nice health bar, a nice magic bar, and a nice endurance bar. That's really what we want. And then we're upping our strength so that we can carry new weapons that we find. So that's really where we want to focus all of our levels starting out. So first one, vigor. And go ahead and back on out. And then she'll take off. Horseback riding. Use the spectral steed whistle to summon and ride your spectral steed. If your spectral steed dies, you can summon it again, but it will cost 1 flask of crimson tears to do so. You can dismount by using the whistle again or by pressing F. I promise you. And so now it's going to tell you about the pouches that I told you about in the last episode. So I'll just go ahead and read this. From pouch, in the main menu, you can equip 6 items to your pouches. 4 of these items can be used without opening the main menu. And so these are how you do it. You press the command button, and then whatever button on your controller or whatever number it correlates to which one. So you're going to have to figure it out. For me, this one is number 4. This is number 3. That's number 1. That's number 2. Number 1, I always put my spectral steed. So most people like to have Torrent down on their menu bar, but then again, in the middle of battle, you'll have to scroll through items to get to him unless you put him on your first slot here, so that you can just hold down the scroll button to get to it immediately. However, I do it just like I do it with my healing flask, so that I can just instantaneously press 2 buttons and hop up on Torrent. And so now we're on our horse. And then if we hit the sprint button, we can go off into a gallop and then just come to a stop by taking our hands off of the D-pad. And then he has a double jump. So you can jump once and then jump again in the air, which helps you get across some distances and get up onto some high cliffs and stuff like that. And so this is Torrent. Here's how we're going to get through most of the game and do a lot of exploring is on Torrent. Now, I promise you, there are items to make to heal Torrent. Do not do it. I promise you, you will never need to heal Torrent in this game. If you get knocked off hard enough, it will ask you to use a flask in order to get back on him. That doesn't happen very often. Usually when you get knocked off Torrent, it usually is just damage to you, and then you can get back on Torrent immediately. But then every once in a while, you get knocked off so hard that it requires you using a Crimson Flask to get back on him. And that will bring up a prompt in the middle of the battle that asks you yes or no. It's very, very annoying, and most of the time it gets you killed. So yeah, that's going to happen eventually. Not much we can do about it. But go ahead and ride over and attack those bats. Get used to fighting on Torrent, because there's actually going to be a few battles, including the one coming up that I'm actually pretty nervous about, trying to showcase for you guys, that we're going to do. So, going back through these woods, we respawned all the enemies. Go ahead and take out the animals, farm some stuff, and fight the guards on Torrent. And get used to riding around and circling them. I do not recommend locking on. Do not lock on when you're trying to fight stuff on Torrent, because this will happen. And it'll just kind of, it takes you in a circle, but it's kind of hard to get closer to them. It's a lot easier if you can just freely control Torrent and the camera separately. So that way you can turn around easier, ride up to them, give them a smack. So go ahead, we're going to go ahead and go through these entire woods, take out every single guard, get some runes, and also to just get used to fighting on Torrent. Oh, owie. So you don't want to stay too close. If you hit them once and then kind of ride away, because they're going to turn around and start attacking you, and if you take too many hits, you will get knocked off Torrent. There we go. And then you can do the charge too. So that's the strong attack. And then you got a charge. That does quite a bit of damage. So let's do it on this guy. Oop, he's close. Go ahead and burst away, and then we'll turn around, and done. Go ahead and pick up this foliage. Pick up all these rune stones again. So like I said, these items and everything, they respawn as soon as you sit at grace, so every time we come through here, we're just going to be picking it all up. It's very, very important. Crack these skulls that you see. Now these, you just heard that squeal. Sometimes the boars in the woods will attack you, and sometimes they won't. I really don't know. I haven't figured out what makes them... see, like this one I think is trying to attack me. I really don't know what distinguishes them from running away, and sometimes they attack you. I really haven't figured out why that is. But it's not that big a deal. Oh, missed him. There we go. I'm sorry, dears. Unfortunately, we have to go make double sure that we grab these herbas up here and make double sure that we grab the turtle pickle neck. Or, I'm sorry, just the turtleneck, because it makes... We make pickled turtleneck with it, and that boosts our stamina recovery speed, which is vital. Absolutely vital. Because remember, every action you do takes away stamina. You see my green bar right there. It's good. Oh. It's because I'm fighting an enemy that it doesn't consider an enemy, so I'm not losing any stamina because of it. Just like if I swing right here, or if I run, I don't lose any stamina. But as soon as you get into combat, see how it starts going away? The yellow means that's what you're using, and then you see it went back up. So the faster that bar goes back up, then the more attacks and the more animations you can do. So that's basically the form of haste in this game, as far as, you know, RPG terminology goes. And see these guys? They're literally laughing and waiting to... See? He just laughed at me, and then he attacked me. So these guys literally laugh at you. Oh, he's still alive. So he's going to spit out some poison. You don't want to get in that cloud. It'll poison you. We don't have anything to heal poison right now, so do not get poisoned. Let's go see if we can hit this guy. Come here, dude. There we go. And we'll hop back up on Torrent. I think I got all the guards in here. Yeah. Looks like we got them all. Oh, except for this one. Go ahead and give him a charged attack. Oh! See? So, he hit me in the middle of my charged attack animation, and that broke me out of it. So I have to do it again. That is what poise deals with. If I had high poise, then I would have just swiped right through it. I still would have been hit, and I still would have taken damage, but the attack animation would not have been stopped. And endurance and strength are the two stats that you want to have a lot of in order to, you know, tank through attacks and not get staggered out of them. Oh, missed the plan. And so we're going to go back to this church, but we're not going to sit at the grace. We're going to do something kind of different after we take these bats out real quick. Like I said, we're doing this just to collect runes, because we need to buy some stuff and I need to heal. Ow. Would you guys just cooperate? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And you too. Stop it. Sorry, the unfortunately the hitbox on my club is very, very small, which I'm going to fix in a second by finding a better weapon. In just a moment. We just got to do something real quick. Alright, so we grabbed all the foliage that we can on our way back to this church. Farm some animals, got some guards down. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to sell some of the runes.
Weren't you? Well, you're back. Care to buy something?
Yes, I would. I'm going to sell some of these runes. And then we're going to sell all of the Roa fruit that we have right now, because we're going to find infinite more of this. So right now, it's an extra 600 runes. It's almost a level up, so go ahead and sell that, because we're going to need to purchase some stuff. We're going to buy this. Oop. Need to sell one more rune. There we go. And this. And this. Now we got that taken care of. We're going to come back when we have 600 runes, and we're going to purchase these last two cracked pots. But until then, we need throwing daggers, and we need to start buying arrows. Now, we can't make these throwing daggers. We can make bone throwing daggers, which aren't as good. And we can make arrows that aren't as good as these. But right now, for the dungeons that we're going to have coming up ahead, we want to start stocking up on daggers. Don't use these yet. Just start buying them. When you have just change left over like I do right now, that's what we're going to buy. And don't worry about buying a torch. We're going to buy something better than a torch. Let's go ahead and exit out of that. Oops.
Nice to do business.
I just now saw the talk dialogue, so let's go ahead and get his dialogue going.
There are others of my people who yet survive in these lands. If the mood takes you when you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of gold, which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing journey. But thanks to that, things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine.
And so, for some odd reason, if you hit talk, I think he's going to say
Perhaps
the same thing.
you don't need
Oh,
to hear this,
never mind.
but see that no harm comes to my kin. We have a saying, we wanderers. Lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, no regard, nothing. But if anyone dares harm us, show them no mercy. That is our code, so to speak. Just the way we are, deeply unforgiving.
And so, he's not joking. If you attack him 3 times,
Bye for now.
he will get up and defend himself. And these NPCs do not mess around, so it's not something you want to do. Now, instead of sitting down with this grace, we're going to do something different. We're going to open up our map here, and we're going to hover our little cursor over the Church of Ellah, Merchant Kale, and then hit travel. So for me, it's E. It's going to say traveling to Church of Ellah. Is that okay? It's just traveling to the grace that we're literally standing right next to. Hit okay.
This way, Tarnished. May I have a word? A pleasure to meet thee, Tarnished. I am the witch Renna. I'd heard tell of a Tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk I surmise is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent. Ah, as I had hoped, I was entrusted this for thee by Torrent's former master. 'Tis a bell for calling forth spirits. Summon them with it. From ash and return to the Ep.3, the spirits will obey thine command but briefly, as they recall battles past. Now it is thine, to do with as thou wishest.
Alright. With the spirit calling bell, you can use ashes to summon various spirits. Summoning typically consumes FP. You can only summon one type of spirit at a time. You cannot summon spirits during multiplayer. And then she has a little bit of dialogue left.
Forgive mine intrusion, Tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. But all the same, learn well the lands between. How long will it be, I wonder, before the Tarnished tire of obeisance to the 2 fingers?
And there she drifts away. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and sit down this grace and make sure it's nighttime again. Sometimes it can go into... Oh, sometimes this will happen. So we sit down here, and this little ball pops up with the little option to talk to Melina. So go ahead and do that for some extra dialogue.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Ep.3. This light once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren, but now it is all that guides you. Also I hear. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden.
And if there's a little ball next to the option to talk to her, that means she has more dialogue.
Upon the cliff in Castle Stormvale is a shard bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring. If the rays of grace signal the castle, then the Elden Ring beckons you. As an ally by pact, I pray that you are fit to face the challenge presented by the ring.
And now that it's gone, if you hit talk again, she's going to say the last line of dialogue that she just went through.
Upon the cliff, a demigod. If the rays, then the Elden. As an ally, pray to face the...
So now she's done, we can go ahead and leave. But I'm going to pass time to nighttime, which will make her disappear, sadly. Because Melina is awesome. Okay. So it doesn't look like nighttime, but it is. Sometimes nighttime can look a little bit like evening. So we are going to head back through and do everything that we just did again. Which I know seems tedious, boring content, stuff like that, but we gotta do it. We have to collect runes, we have to collect materials, we have to level up. Well, I take that back. You don't have to level up in this game, you really don't. And that sounds absurd, but trust me, you can go through the entire game at level 1. People do it all the time. It's really cool. And I'm actually trying to do it myself, to be honest. So let's go fight these bats again. So remember, just run up and smack the one sitting on the ground as fast as you can, so we get one out of the way. And go ahead and try and get the other one as he's getting up, but being uncooperative. Hey, don't touch me. And, you know, I know that I'm making this look pretty easy and you might be struggling. You maybe have even died, and that's okay. You just come back over, grab your runes, and give it another shot. I know you're hearing some pretty disgusting yelling going on right now. It's these guys. They're actually alive, and they're screaming. And they only do it at night for some reason. And, yeah, it's just kind of disturbing. As far as the lore goes in this game, from what the developers have said, nothing is placed anywhere by accident. Everything is there for a reason. So these ruins right here, see this big chunk of stone sitting in the ground, that fell from the sky. And I'll show you from where a little bit later in the game. So everything has happened for a reason. Oh, I missed it. So choose to fight these guys how you wish. If you want to hop off Torrent, get some practice on charged attacks and dodging, stuff like that. Or if you want to continue fighting on Torrent, I highly recommend that because, like I said, we're going to have a battle coming up soon. Most likely in the next episode, because I'm realizing how much time has surpassed and we still got to clear out this camp up here. So probably going to do the boss fight in the next episode at the beginning, because it's going to take a minute to show you the two different ways to take him down. Because I'm going to show you a fair and square way to take down this boss. I'm going to show you his movesets, I'm going to show you how to dodge them, I'm going to show you how to fight him. And then when he's down to about half health, I'm going to run away. And I'm going to show you a different way to take him down on your horse. And that's probably going to be the way that most people are going to do it that watch this guide. Because this guide is intended for beginners and novices of this game. And the second way I'm going to show you is the much, much easier and safer way. Because this boss is extremely intense for the start of the game. Let's go down here and take these guys out real quick. And they don't give you much runes, you know, but it all adds up. And the fact that we don't need too many runes in the start of the game to level up, you know, doing stuff like farming little creatures and picking up 5-10 runes here, it adds up. Man, it helps. So, oh, I just got a nice face full of poison right there. But luckily that bar didn't go up all the way. If it did, then it would have, yes, right. If it had gone up all the way, then I would be poisoned and I'd be taking continuous damage right now. And I'd have to run to that side of grace because I don't have anything to heal poison yet. But the dragon head that I just picked up from taking down that dragonfly that hit me in the face, that is what we need to make stuff to cure poison. And it's particularly useful to make these items to cure status ailments if you're not a faith build. Faith is the only type of spell, or type of magic, I should say, that has spells that will cure status ailments. And so if you're not a faith build, you might not have enough to cast it. And so these items are what you're going to need. So picking up all of this foliage. Oh yeah, he's coming for me. Not sure why. It's weird. Sometimes they run away from you and sometimes they come charging. But picking up all this foliage, all these bones, everything like that, I promise there's going to come a time where we go to start making items in a cave or something, and we need some arrows, and yep, we got everything that we need. Ooh, that hurt. That guy was rude. The reason that I staggered him with one hit right there was because he didn't know I was coming. Remember, it said in the beginning that enemies that are unaware of you will take more damage than enemies that are aware. So the fact that I snuck up on him is the reason that he staggered from one hit. Same with this guy. Now remember, the reason I'm staggering them too is because I'm doing a strong jump attack. So this is a light jump attack. This is a strong jump attack. And so the strong one is what's causing the stagger. If I was doing the light jump attack, it just would have done some damage. It wouldn't have staggered him. Just making sure we got all the foliage. Even the mushrooms. The mushrooms are very important because they're the items involved in making the grenades and our cracked pots that we have, which we're gonna go over all that stuff in a little bit, I promise you. The reason I haven't showed it to you right now is because this is what we need to focus on. We need to focus on just getting used to the controls and the attacks with your weapon, and getting used to riding on Torrent, and getting used to farming, picking up items. Very, very, very important. We're going to be doing a lot of this. And we'll go fight these bats again. Oh, oh, that was hurt. Sorry guys, like I said, the distance on this club is pitiful, so I have to get in really close, and sometimes it's kind of difficult. Whoa. So yeah, they shoot little beams at you. They'll knock you back and stagger you if you're not careful, so. Hey, knock it off. Oh. There we go. And we'll take out this guard just for fun. Oh, you got lucky, dude. Alright, so if you've done everything that I just did, you should be getting pretty comfortable with the controls. And if you've died, you're going to go back to the site of grace that you were last at, and you'll have dropped your runes and have to go retrieve them. They'll just be little gold, you know, little gold strands sitting on the ground that are going up vertically. So just go ahead and pick them up, and they'll go back into your pocket. But aside from that, I just want to show you real quick, before we go clear this camp out, how to summon. I always put my summons on my second pouch. So down here, you have the Lone Wolf Ashes. Just go ahead and click on that. If you don't want to do it on the pouch, you can also put it right here. So just go ahead and click on it and put it onto your item bar, and then scroll through and click on the item. But otherwise, if you have it on your pouch, just go ahead and use it the same way you would heal. Only now I'm going to summon my dogs. And here they are. And that's their health bar on the left. And they're going to follow me. And whoever they run into, they will fight. Now, one thing we want to do is we want to stay away from that guy with the horn. That guy over there. I just want to show you my doggos going at it. Pretty awesome, huh? Now remember, these are, you know, beginning of the game enemies, so they won't do that well against a boss or something like that. But the reason that we want to stay away, since we took out that guy, go ahead and just grab that. You know, you summon your wolves and let them fight him. But see this guy over here with the trumpet? I'm going to show you what happens when he sees you and why it's bad and why we need to take him out first when we clear this camp. So I'm going to show you what happens. And I'm also going to show you how weak these dogs can be and how fast they can be taken down. So I'm not going to go close enough that the dogs will follow me, because then they'll attack him. And I want him to do his animation. I want him to see me, but I don't want him to get attacked yet. Don't go forward, doggy. Stay right here. Can you see me? Does he see me? Dang it. There. Okay. Watch what he does. Takes his horn out. You see how the knight is running towards us? It's not just that knight, it's every single knight in the entire camp has now been notified of our presence, and they are coming to fight. Every single one. And our dogs are doing pretty good. They just took one guy out. That's not too bad. Ooh, the knight sees us. That's not good. Get him, doggy. So that guy with the shield, that's a knight. And the knights are very, very difficult to fight. If you try and fight the knight right now, he will take you down. But now the summons are dead. Our poor wolfies are gone. They did so well. Thank you, wolfies. But now that they're gone, it's on us. Well, actually, they don't know we're here. But now that they do, they're coming. So, yeah, the guy with the horn, he'll notify the entire camp, and the camp will come running for you. But if we sit down at the grace, it'll reset the entire area. And now they're de-aggroed, and they don't know we're here. So we got some dialogue from Melina, it looks like. So let's go ahead and see what she has to say.
Me? I'm searching for my purpose, given to me by my mother inside the Ep.3, long ago, for the reason that I yet live, burned and bodiless. There is something for which I must apologize. I've acted the finger maiden, yet can offer no guidance. I am no maiden. My purpose was long ago lost. Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me.
Alright, so we got our next level up we can do. Gonna go ahead and put it into endurance. Give us a little bit more stamina. See, you don't go up much in these games. You just go up a few points every level. But that's okay. The numbers in this game don't go too high. So by the end of the game, with your weapons doing max damage, you'll reach about 700 points in damage. Like, you know, with the best weapons in the game. So like powerful spells, things like that, you're looking at like in the area of 3,000 to 4,000 damage for really powerful attacks. And bosses towards the end of the game, they'll have anywhere between like 18,000 to maybe 28, 30,000 health. So the numbers do not get too high in this game. So just going up one or two at a time, it really does make a big difference after a while. So we'll go ahead and level this up, and then the next one after that, we're going to go with strength, and then we'll go back up to vigor. Now we're going to sneakily clear out this entire camp. So the first thing we're going to do is walk up behind this guy and give him an old smackaroo. We got to do this while the trumpet guy is out of range. We don't want the trumpet guy to see us. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to run over here and crouch down next to this wall. We're going to wait for the trumpet guy to turn back around. And as soon as he turns back around, we're going to sprint. By the way, forgot to mention, when you're crouched, you can sprint. It's the same thing as when you're standing and you're sprinting. You can crouch and you can sprint. So crouch sprint over to him, and as quick as you can, before he gets into view of either him or the knight, take him down. So now that guy is gone. Nobody else in the camp has a trumpet, so we can go ahead and start stealthily killing these guys one at a time. Now that little statue right there, And that little purple ball item, that is a map fragment. We're going to grab it here in a second, but first what I'm going to do is put on the weapon that I picked up. So we're going to say goodbye to the club for now, and we're going to put on the Lord Sworn's Greatsword. Now as you can see, there's an X on it. Unable to use this item effectively with present attributes, because I need 16 strength to use it. But remember what I said before, while it's in one hand, we can't use the skill. So we'll try and use the skill for the sword, and it just does that. So you can't do the skill while you have the sword, or while the attributes don't work. But, like I said before, if you two-hand it... Oh, I guess we don't have enough strength. So we're going to have to level up our strength a couple of levels. I think it only takes it down 5 maybe, or 4. So once we get up to 12, we'll be able to use this sword. I guess we're going to have to go back to the club. But if we two-hand it, normally it would allow us to use it even though we don't have the strength for it. So my mistake. I guess we're going to have to wait a few levels. So the club's going to do just fine though. So we're going to go through here. There's no guards over here, so you can go ahead and run. We're going to grab this herba. Very important. Those are not to be missed. We need every single one we can get. So there's going to be 3 guards over here. See that one's walking away, so we can go ahead and sneak up behind this one. Give him the old 1-2, how do you do? And then a 3-4. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Oh well. And then after we take him out, this guy's going to come over here, so let's go ahead and crouch down and walk around this wall. Grab this mushroom. And we'll wait for him to walk by, and we'll sneak up behind him when he's a safe distance away from that guard. So that we don't make noise and aggro him. Yep, that's good. And then go ahead and whack that guy up. And then this guy, go ahead and crouch down. And you can notice that it's raining and my clothes are wet. This also affects some spells. If you use a lightning spell while it's raining, it'll increase the lightning damage. If you use a fire spell while it's raining, it will decrease the fire damage. Owie. Very rude. Owie. Ooh. This guy's not being too nice, is he? Yeah, those spears have ridiculous reach, so they're not fun to fight. Ow. And for that, we have a chest right here. We get a flail. This weapon, as you can tell, scales with strength. And then this weapon right here scales primarily with dexterity. So like the highest stat that you see on it is the stat that it's going to scale good in. So if you have higher dexterity, then this weapon is going to do more damage on your physical side. This number will grow the higher your dexterity goes up. Now it also scales in strength, but as you can tell from it being lower here, by the time you upgrade this weapon all the way, the grade is going to be better for dexterity than it will be for strength. That's why this is in red. And then the other side of that, this is, I don't know why that's red right now. But eventually, it's probably just because we don't have 16 strength. Eventually, this will be higher than the dexterity. So this will be like an A, and the dexterity will still be at a D. And same with this. This scales of strength, has very good scaling starting off in the game with strength. So the highest grade you can get for any attribute is S in this game. So this scales with dexterity. We do not have the dexterity to do it, but it has blood loss, which is very, very good. We'll go over all that stuff and status ailments and blood loss when we start using it. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with information right now. Just want to show you guys basics and get you guys comfortable with the mechanics of the game first before we dive into any of that stuff. So we're going to go over to the other side. Grab this rune. Very important. Now we're going to have 2 guards here. One is going to be sleeping, and as soon as we attack this one from behind, he's going to stand up. But at least we'll get this one criticaled. So there's that one that stands up. They both have shields, so be careful with that. Oop. Fortunately, I did the charge attack too soon. Right, he's gone. One thing you want to get used to in this game, very important in my opinion, is get used to only doing a few attacks. Get this rune fragment here. So, as you saw, when I attacked that first guard, I immediately rolled away because that second guard was gearing up to swing right in my face. And that's how it is with most enemies in this game. You can attack them once or twice, and then they're going to attack. And you don't want to be anywhere near them. If you don't have a shield to block or anything like that, you have to dodge it, or else you're going to take some damage. And so the best thing to do in this game is to attack, and then just back away. And then come in and attack, and then back away. And then attack, and then you're good. So that's a habit you really want to get into. With most bosses, that's going to... Ow, good lord. For most bosses, that's going to be exactly what you need to do. Oh, I staggered that guy. I don't think I've ever staggered a bat before. That's cool. That's what you get for being a bat. Well, actually, no. I shouldn't say that, because bats are actually incredible and beautiful creatures. They really are. I guess I just meant that's what you get for being a bat that attacks me and hits me with beams and tries to bite me. But bats, you know, in real life, they're awesome creatures. I love bats. Okay, so quit out this guard now. We're going to go ahead and sneak up onto this guard that's by this campfire here. But before you do, you want to make sure that knight is walking away. That way he doesn't get aggroed and he doesn't hear the noise or see you. And then smack him down. And then grab these butterflies right here. And then run over here and grab this purple item. Map fragment. Map found. So Limgrave West. So now, if we come up over here so no guards walk up on us. Now when we open our map, hey, we can actually see some stuff. So this is the cave that we came out of, and that's where Varre was. And then right here is where that knight was walking. Down over here is a beach and some octopuses. There's a merchant and a cave over here. This is an island we'll get to in a little bit. So this is the first part of the game, and where we're going to spend quite a bit of time. This is that lake that I told you there's a boss at that we don't want to run into. This is that woods that we've been going through, fighting all the guards, and then this is the camp, obviously, that we're at right now. So now that we actually have a map, we can do stuff like place markers. If you look down at the button that says marker and you hit that, it'll show you different stuff. So I like to so for example, there's a boss right here in the middle of the world. So I like to put this little skull just to let me know that there's a boss there. And if I run into this area, there's going to be a boss that I have to fight. Same with this. Right here. There's a boss right here that we'll have to fight. And so I'm going to be setting up markers all over the place so that we know where we're going and you guys have a clear idea of what our pathing is and our plan is, and then it also helps us keep track of what we've accomplished and what we've completed. So every single cave that I find that I haven't completed, I go ahead and I leave a little sword over the site of grace. And even though that sword is there, even though that sword is there, we can still travel to that site of grace. It doesn't matter that the sword is there. It doesn't change anything on the map. Now, if we are traveling somewhere and we don't want to get lost, we can put a marker down. And you can see there's one next to it. You can put down 5 markers at a time. And then once you put down a 6th one, it's going to take the first one away and change it to over there. So these markers, you can see them. And then it's also up on your compass. It'll tell you which marker is in which direction. So you can get to where you need to go and keep, a straight path and not get too lost. Because there are some areas in the game where it's extremely foggy and there's bad weather and you will not be able to see where you're going. And those areas are very uncomfortable. So now that we have the map, we can do stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and just really fast go over some stuff that we need to do, that we need to accomplish. There's a boss right there. For NPCs that we need to talk to and meet, I'm going to put that. If a merchant has something that we need to buy, I'm going to put a little diamond there. There is a person there. There's a cave right here. This area, so just because we need to go down here and fight some stuff, I'm just going to put a little sword here. And same with this area too, just to remind myself that we do need to go there and do some stuff. And, sorry, I meant to put a skull there. There's a boss there. If I take the skull, okay. Skull there. There's a boss right here. There's a boss right here. There's a boss right there. And there's a boss in here. And then, of course, this is Stormvale Castle. Now, unfortunately, I already defeated the Grafted Scion here. I wanted to mention that real quick. Forgot to. I didn't teach you guys how to fight it. That's okay. There's about 5 of them in the game. We're going to fight them again before we get back to the one that we saw at the start of the game. You're going to get a rematch with him. We're going to get back to that area because there's some items there that we need to grab for a person's quest. So, unfortunately, since I already took him out, all I need to grab here is an item, so I'm going to put that there. But for you guys, you know, you might want to put a skull or a sword to remind yourself that you got a boss that we need to fight there. So for Stormvale, I'm just going to put a sword to remind myself that we need to do this. This is called a legacy dungeon. It's an entire dungeon with multiple checkpoints in it and multiple bosses. There's about 5 or 6 legacy dungeons in the game. They're very intense, very difficult, and very brutal to get through, but we will get through them, I promise. There's a cave right here. Let's see, and that's about, okay, there's a cave right here. That's about all we can do right now with the map that we have. There's ruins right here that we need to go through. There's a boss down here. And there's a camp right there. There's a caravan right there we need to clear out. There's a cave right here. And can't see up there yet. Oh, actually, it's right there. So there's a cave right there. A boss right there. There's an NPC right here. We need to clear out these woods, that beach. There's items in there. Alright, so none of this is going to make any sense to you, like I said, but as soon as we get going, I promise these will start, we'll start checking these off, you know, episode by episode, we'll start clearing all this stuff out. And then once the map looks completely clear of markers, we'll know that we've done everything in that area and we're good to go and move on to, you know, what's next in the game. So just making sure that's everything. So now that we got our map, we can see things a little bit better. But let's go ahead and took so much time showing you guys the map that it actually turned into daytime now. So fortunately, some of these enemies are going to be able to see us a little bit better. It's going to be harder to sneak around because if we try to go make it nighttime, it'll respawn the entire camp, and we don't want that. So here is where we're going to put to use some of the materials that we actually made. So item crafting. With the item crafting menu, you can make various items from materials that you find. You can learn to craft more items by finding cookbooks. So because of the cookbook that we bought, we're able to make these fire pots. So that smoldering butterfly that I picked up at the campsite that soldier was sleeping at, and these mushrooms, these allow me to make a grenade. So it's very powerful. I'm going to go ahead and make one just to showcase it to the knight that we're about to fight. But right now what I want to do is I want to make some bone darts. I'm not going to use the other knives that we have that we bought. We're going to save those for dungeons. But in the meantime, we need bone darts. I'm going to make 20 of them so that I can throw them at these dogs to pull these guys out one at a time. Because if you seriously try and fight these guys all together, they're going to gang up on you and you're going to die very quickly. It's just a few hits and that is all it takes. So I got my bone darts down there selected. You see, and I can switch over to the fire pot. But I got the bone darts. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this guy, but I'm going to go down to the dog. Oh, he sees me. Okay. So since it's daytime, his sight is much, much further. He wouldn't have been able to see me if it was nighttime. So let's go ahead and get him to come out so he's not with his friends. And we'll take him down. Now the doggos, we want to pull out one at a time by throwing a dart. Now sometimes they don't come out. Their AI kind of bugs out, so you can just sit there and literally just keep throwing the darts at them until they either come out or just, you know, die. There we go. Oh, thank you. I hate taking down the dogs. I'm so sorry. I hate that noise. I really do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ugh. Please rest in peace. Sorry guys, I won't be too mushy, I promise. They made the animal death animation sound a little too real in this game, and it just breaks my heart. Alright, so we got a guy over there. We got 2 standing right there. You saw him through the window. So we're just going to come up on this guy. We're going to throw a dart at him to make him come towards us. There we go. Because we don't want him to... Ooh, I got him first. Don't want him to notify his friends. And so this guy, now that the knight is over there, we're going to go ahead and aggro him too. So we don't want that. And we want the knight to be over on the side there. We don't want him to be close to this guy, because then he'll hear that dart hit him, and then he'll come for us. So we'll take that guy down, and then we got one last guy over here, and then we have the knight. Let's go ahead and take this guy down with a critical, and then give him a charged attack as he's standing up. And go ahead and bend down. We're going to come over here. The knight's walking there, but before we fight the knight, we're going to go down into this basement. Don't worry, there's no enemies down here, so just go ahead and run on down in here and open up this door. We're going to pick up a crucial item. Alright, adding skills. With the whetstone knife, you can use Ashes of War to grant your armaments new skills at Sites of Grace. An armament can only have one skill. Any skill it previously had will be removed. An armament's type determines what skill it can have. Some special armaments have unique skills and cannot be granted new ones. With a whetstone knife, you can use Ashes of War to grant infinities to your armaments at Sites of Grace. This way, you can alter an armament's attack affinity, boost attribute scalings, and more. An armament's type determines what affinities it can have. Some special armaments, like those with unique skills, cannot be granted new affinities. Now, I know none of that made sense, and that's totally okay, because it didn't make sense to me the very first time I read it too. So we got this Ash of War, which is a skill. We can apply it to our weapon. We can apply it because of this whetstone knife that we have. We're going to find different whetstone knives that allow us to apply different affinities to our weapons. Now, affinities are what cause status effects. So if I put an Ash of War on this and I change the affinity to poison, it will change the damage it does. It'll add poison effects to each strike, and it will change which attribute it scales with. Poison usually scales with arcane. So if I put an Ash of War on here and change the attribute to poison, it will change the scaling from strength to arcane. It's a little complex. We're not going to get into it until we actually do start changing Ashes of War. So right now, just know that that's extremely important and an extremely good thing to get. Now we have this knight, and he is vicious. Very, very vicious. Now I'm going to fight him with the dogs, and then I'm going to go sit down and come back and fight him again just solo by myself, just to kind of showcase his moveset and stuff like that. But for most beginners and stuff like that, you're going to want to use the dogs. We've cleared out the entire camp, so it's going to be me, 3 dogs versus him. But first, before we summon the dogs, we're going to run up and we're going to critical him, because he has a lot of health for an enemy at this stage, as you can see right there. And then we're going to run away, and we're going to summon our dogs. And he's probably going to hit me. Yep, that's okay. Go ahead and heal, and while the dogs are distracting him, go ahead and get in our hits too. Got him. So the dogs are giving him the what for. Oh. 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 Hit me. And he's down. Thank you, doggos. And now that the camp is cleared, no enemies left, the doggos are going to disappear. Or? I think that's all the enemies. Should be all of them. Got those guys over there. What you guys doing here? That's very weird. Yeah, we got all the enemies. Not sure why they're still here. Well, in most cases, when you take out all the enemies in a camp or an area, or you're done fighting the boss in an area, the summons will immediately disappear. But I have no clue why they're here. They should be gone. We've cleared out everything, so... Alright, guys, what's up? Thank you, guys. Oh, did not see this herba. Go ahead and grab this herba. Very, very important. Alright, so now we've cleared out our first camp. We got our whetstone knife. Got a couple of different weapons. Got some runes from that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and grab this grace. And our doggos disappear because we left an area. I forgot to mention that. We left the area where we can summon. Now you see under Barbaric Roar right there, right above my item slot, there's nothing. There's no symbol. But as soon as we come over here... Oh, it's not going to do it because I already summoned. Okay, let me sit down, and I'll show you the symbol that means you can summon. You can't summon spirits everywhere. You can only summon them in certain places. So let's go ahead and grab this grace. And this is right here. It's called Agheel Lake North because this is Agheel Lake. So we'll go ahead and sit down. It's going to respawn everything. That's okay because I wanted to fight that knight again. Try and showcase how to fight him just by yourself without the doggos, just in case you want the challenge. So you see that little symbol that just appeared? Look at the Barbaric Roar on the left. So right now there's nothing above it, but then as you walk closer, that little symbol appears. That symbol means you can summon. And if that symbol goes away, that means you've left the area you can summon. And if you're in the middle of fighting and you have summons and you leave the area where your summons are, then your summons will disappear. So we're going to go ahead and aggro him so he comes to us. We're going to fight one at a time. So he's going to do a triple poke. So thrust. That's a really long thrust. Nope. That triple poke is the best time to try and get in for a hit. And then roll away. Like I said, in these games, you want to roll away as soon as you get your hit in. And roll towards him so that he breaks his lock on you and roll away. Oop. Oop. And roll away. So he has pretty good poise. You're not going to break him out of most of his attacks. Once he starts an attack, he's going to go through with it. And it's going to be very difficult to break him out of it. So you can see there, rolling towards him is the best way to deal with the spears. Because if you try and roll away, it's going to catch you. That's what it's designed to do. If you hit him while he's holding his shield up like that, he's going to counterattack. And it's very dangerous. If that counterattack hits, it's probably going to kill you. Ooh. Oop. Rolled too many times. Oh, I missed him. That was a good fight. Gotta give him a bow. So go ahead and just, go through this camp and aggro some guys, fight some dudes, get the experience in because we're gonna need it. Ooh. And this is what happens if you get grouped up. Ooh. Like you only want to fight a few enemies at a time or just one at a time because they will group up and it will overwhelm you. Like, even for me, that was a little too much at that time. So I had to back away. Ooh, owie. And so remember, you can block. Even though it's a weapon, you can still block. And it will eat some of the damage, and it will let you do a counter. And the counterattacks are very, very vicious. They do lots of stagger damage. That's that dong sound that you hear. So it does lots of stagger damage to do a counterattack. Very, very good thing to do to enemies. Okay, so we've cleared out this camp. And the next thing we're going to do, I'm unfortunately going to have to wait till next episode because it's going to take longer than a half an hour. So instead, we're just going to spend the rest of this episode going over different things that we need to. I'm going to read the items in a second. Ooh, that was very close. And then next episode, we're going to take on our very first boss. Ooh. I know Soldier of Godric was technically a boss, but this boss is a little more on par with the first creature that you fought, the Grafted Scion. Oh, I'm gonna die. Man, reach on the club is so short. There it is. Come here. It's good that we're getting these smithing stones. It makes leveling up weapons much, much easier. Because we don't have to buy them. I picked up a helmet. So yeah, it's okay to, you know, just ride around, fight some of these guards and stuff like that. Get some runes. Might even pick up, you know, if you're lucky, you might get a shield or a weapon or a set of armor. So I'm going to wait for this guy to come in closer a little bit. Oh, you did it. That's what you get. Now we got to run because everybody is awake. See? Here they all come. And you could wait, you know, for a few minutes or so, and then everybody will de-aggro and go back to their little patrol points. But we're gonna go ahead, and I know this is painstaking, and you're gonna be like, really? Do you have to do this episode? But yes, we do. We're gonna go ahead and go through this forest again and clear everything out. Collect all the foliage, kill all the guards, hunt all the animals. It must be done. And I promise you, like, all this is going to add up, and eventually we're going to be at a comfortable point where we have a decent vigor, we have enough attribute, we have enough in our attributes to use the weapons that we want. We're going to be doing a lot of exploring before we actually get into the story and the meat of the game. And it's to prepare. It's to prepare for the incredible challenge that is ahead. Because like I said, you can go through this with just the club and your skimmies, as you saw from me fighting the Grafted Scion. But, as I also said, that took a couple of 100 tries just to learn how to fight him. And even that, I'm going to be honest, that very first video that the very first episode that I made where I fought him, that took about 10 tries to get that fight. He took me down 10 times. And the time that I did take him down, it was due to good RNG. I had very good openings and I had very good timings. He didn't have any unfortunate counterattacks that would clip me. So it was part luck and part practice and part skill. And, oh, see? I don't know why this guy... I should look it up. I'm not sure if anybody else has figured out what causes the boars to... Oh, I'm out of healing flasks. Didn't realize that. That's okay. That's okay because we got a scarab over here. Now, these guys will run away if you don't hit them. See? He's trying to run away from me. And after a few seconds, they will disappear. So once you hit them and they know you're there, you have just a small time frame to actually take them out or they'll disappear. And in order to get them to reappear, you have to go sit at a grace. That's not as important for the ones that heal your flasks, but it is important for the ones that carry spells and ashes of war. So if you go to get one, there are some that are so sensitive that you have to hit them with an arrow, or you have to hit them with a spell, because as soon as you walk up near them, even if you're crouching, they'll disappear. So yeah, some of them are tricky, but some of them are kind of interesting. There's a few of them that'll give you quite a shock and a surprise. But like I said, going through here, clearing out all this stuff, grabbing foliage, grabbing materials that I promise will come in handy very, very soon. And you'll be very, very glad you did all this. Bash through that stuff. I think we got everything up here, so let's go fight this last guard. Well, actually, I think there's 2 more guards. Oh, what? Now, in case you didn't notice that, he just swung at me, and he should have hit me. But you see what happens when I land? I am actually squatting. And because I was squatting from my jump attack, so look at my character's position when I land. standing straight up. But when I attack, see how I'm squatting down? That is how I dodged that fire swipe he did with his torch. That would have hit me if I was just standing up, but since I was crouched from my attack, it went over my head. So the hitboxes they're very, very good in this game. Extremely good. And you'll notice things like that, like if you're fighting at an angle, maybe you're standing on a hill and a boss swings at you, it won't hit you. It'll go over your head because the angle's not right, and it's pretty realistic in this game, so they did a good job with that, and you'll notice that from time to time. You'll be like, how did that not hit me? It's probably because you were ducking from an attack animation, something like that. Now, go ahead and take out the poor turtle. I'm so sorry, man, I know I'm a monster. But that turtleneck meat, man, we need as many of those as we can get. As many as we can get. Super important. Ugh, come over here. We're more coming in here just to get the turtleneck meat, and then of course these guys, they can sit still and cooperate. So that poison bloom that I just picked up, very important. Those poison blooms are how we make really, really good poison arrows. Unfortunately, any poison item you make with the poop, it's going to poison you as well. That's the downside of it. So it's easy material to get, but there's also poison bloom flower, which we can use to make poison items that won't poison us. Now you might be asking, like, why would you want to poison yourself and use an item that will poison you? There is later on in the game some talismans that will stack with that. It says if anybody gets poisoned anywhere near you, your attack power raises up for a certain amount of time. So you go ahead and you poison enemies with the poison pots, but it also poisons yourself, and that ups your attack power viciously, and you'll do some very, very disturbing damage. So, and everybody's gonna be poisoned while you're doing it. So, yeah, it just stacks, and it's part of the poison build, and it's really, really good. But that's about the only use for the poop in this game. So we're not going to be using it in this run at all because I'm not going to be doing a poison build. So the poop we're just picking up to sell because most items sell for 10 runes a piece. So pick up 10 pieces of poop, that's 100 runes. So yeah, the items, they add up. And in the beginning of the game, we're going to be selling a ton of our foliage and items that we find, just so we can get early level ups and we can get all the items that we need from merchants and stuff like that. Because it's like, alright, say you don't use the items in the game and you don't follow my advice and it's too much of a hassle and you just like, straight using spells or straight just attacking with your weapons and you're not going to use items, then at the very least you can sell all this foliage to get some levels up and, upgrade your weapons if you need to, stuff like that. So you get, 900, I'm sorry, you get 90 pieces of fruit, that's 900 runes, You get 100, it's 1,000, so early game, that adds up, and you can add up to a level up too, so very, very important, especially these skulls on the ground. We need to get as many of those as we can. So we're just going to come around here, we're still staying, we're not going to go up over there yet, we're going to go up there next episode. We're just staying around this little pond. Alright, I think we got everything. Hit this poor squirrel, I'm sorry. Alright, so we'll come over here. We're going to level up, read through some items, and then I'm going to call the episode there. And then the very start of the very next episode, we are going to take him down, which is not going to be fun. I'm not looking forward to that. There's some of these bosses in this game. I'm actually really nervous and really stressing out, thinking about having to show you guys, because I want to do a good job and I don't want to waste any time. So I want everything to go smoothly, but there's always the chance that it won't because this game is brutal. So let's go ahead and sit down. And, oh, I'm so sorry. First thing we're going to do is go over here and buy these cookbooks. Or not the cookbooks, we already got the cookbooks. I'm going to buy the cracked pots. So it's 600. So now we got everything that we need from this merchant. Like I said, we're going to buy a better light source than the torch, and we don't need this at the moment. So just go ahead and we're going to get better torches that do different stuff in the game. We don't need that. This shield, as you can see over here, it says physical 85. It only blocks 85% damage, so it's not a very good medium shield. There are other medium shields that block 100% physical damage. That's what we want, so don't buy the shield. We're going to buy better shields, and we're going to find better shields. If you have any runes left over after purchasing the cookbooks, the crackpot, and the crafting kit, and you don't have enough to level up, but you want to spend your runes, buy daggers or buy arrows. Or if you want to, buy bolts, but we're not going to find a good crossbow until a little bit past midway in the game. So you can collect bolts now, but they're not going to be very useful. The bolts, or I'm sorry, the crossbows that we do find aren't going to be very good. So go ahead and buy arrows or buy daggers, as many as you can. And then of course we sell these runes. I'm actually going to start saving these runes for a little bit later. I'll go ahead and just make an even 3,000. Crack 2, but we're going to start saving these up for upgrading our weapons instead of leveling up, because I got some bosses that we're going to fight that are going to give us a lot of runes early in the game that are going to get us to a comfortable level early. It's not going to have us be over leveled to where we're, you know, crushing all the bosses in the game, but it'll be to a point where things will feel like a fair fight. So right now, go ahead and just keep selling your row of fruit until we get the ability to make pickled turtlenecks. Once we do that, then we're going to start keeping all the row of fruit, and we're going to stop selling it. But until then, go ahead and sell it, because there's plenty of them around. You can also actually go ahead and sell the Erdly flowers. We're not going to be using that. The only thing that we use these for are to make fur calling remedies, which is how you find people's signs for co-op and PvP. And since we're not going to be doing that, we're going to be selling these right off the bat too. So go ahead and 450. So let's go level up.
Goodbye. Nice to do business.
Oh, I forgot. These red things are bloodstains. Go up and click on one, and it'll show you how a player died. That's his death animation right there. This is really important at some parts in the game, because it'll show you, you know, exactly what's coming up and how they died. And so if you're walking through an area and all of a sudden you come into a room and you just see a bunch of bloodstains everywhere, there's probably something dangerous in that room. Now this guy is one of the early rune dumps that I want you guys to get. I'm going to show you an easy way to take him out. I'm also going to show you the hard way to take him out next episode. That way he'll give us about 6,000 runes, which is a lot at this point. It'll give us about 5 level ups, and we're going to put it all into vigor. So it's going to give us a huge boost to our health early on in the game. So let's go ahead and level up right now. So I'm going to go ahead and dump 2 into strength, because I want to be able to wield this sword that I have. But then we got a few more, so we're going to go back to vigor and back to endurance. And then we got another one, so let's go back to vigor. And so that's the last one we could do. We're left with 400, so this is what we're going to level up to. Let me see if that's enough to hold the sword. If it isn't, I'm going to need one more level up for the sword, I believe. But it should be enough. I think it is. I did not see when I got this. So this is a smaller version of the sword. You see, this is great sword, and this is just straight sword, so it's smaller and something that we can wield because we have 10 strength and 10 dex. So if I can't use this, I'll be using this, because it does a little bit more damage than the club, I think. Actually, I think the club does. Or no, yeah, it does more damage. Okay. So let's go ahead and check and see if we can actually use this now. And there you go. So now that the X is gone, as you can see, if I have it in one hand, the X is there. We can't use the skill that's on it. And not only that, it subtracts from the physical damage that it does. So because we don't have the attributes required, we can't use the skill that's on the sword, and it, instead of adding our strength to it, whatever our strength is at, it will subtract it. So instead of doing 136 damage, it's doing 136 minus 54, which is horrible. But if we two-hand it, that X goes away. We can now use it because it lowers the requirement by 4 or 5. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. It's 4 or 5. It lowers the requirement, and now you can see it's a plus instead of a minus. So now this does some really, really healthy damage. And last but not least, we can use the skill now. That's the skill. So we couldn't do that before. Sorry, I'm hitting the wrong button on my new mouse. But that skill right there is vicious. So I'm going to showcase that to you before we sit down and read the items. And then I'm going to end the episode and we'll pick it back up and fight the tree sentinel starting the next episode. But first I'm just going to show you what this skill does, because it's going to help get us through a lot of the bosses in the early part of the game. Wasn't that brutal? Yeah, so that's called stamp upward cut. Stamp upward cut. Yep, okay. So, you know, just like any weapon, you got the light attack, you got the strong attack, you got the strong charged. Oh, keep missing. Does some really healthy damage. Just 2 hits and he's gone. But then let me showcase the weapon art again. Weapon art is skill. So skill button, strong attack. So it's a 2-part skill. You know, that is raising my poise. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you while it's happening, but if you look at my poise, it's 27. And then while I do that, let me see if I can do it. Nope, can't do it. I can't show you. So that raises your poise. It will keep you from getting knocked out of the attack animation. And then when you press F after hitting the skill button, because that'll do that. See, it doesn't do anything else. It's just raising my poise. But then if I press F, the strong attack button, after I raise my poise, it'll bring in the attack animation. And it uses FP, so I had to replenish my FP, but then you can use it. And so let me show you, you know, the skill that's on this one. This is square off. So this skill is the same thing. It's a 2-part skill. In order for it to finish, I have to hit the second part. So the first part is this. And then the second part, when you hit the strong attack button, will actually complete the attack animation. And this, once again, is raising your poise so that you can power through any attacks that might hit you and complete the attack animation. Now you're going to take damage, obviously, if, you know, the enemy hits you before you can hit them, but you'll still complete your attack animation and you won't be broken out of it, which is very, 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 very important. And the reason that poise and armor makes a difference in this game. But then on the opposite side of that, you'll be slower, and dodging certain attacks will be next to impossible. You'll have to take damage no matter what. Unfortunately, I gotta take this guy out again. I hate hurting these guys. I really hate just hurting all the animals in the game. Sorry, man. Alrighty. Looks like we got enough to level up one more time, so let's go ahead and do that. I was just showcasing the weapon arts. And there should be a button, you know, look in your menu to tell you which button is your skill button. For me, it's scrolling down on my mouse. But I'm not too sure what's going to be on controllers. I apologize for my lack of knowledge on the controllers for this game. Fortunately, playing it on PC, I just started on mouse and keyboard. It was a real struggle and very, very difficult starting out, but I got used to it, and now I don't know if I could do it on a controller if I tried. So I apologize if you guys can hear my mouse or my keyboard. You know, I bought some silent ones in hopes that, and I have, you know, my microphone has a little cover over it to try and filter out some sounds, so hopefully the quality is not too unbearable. And I apologize if it is. Okay guys, so I'm just going to take out these bats, do a little bit of farming, and we'll go and read the items that we have, just for the lore's sake. And then we will go ahead and wait for the next episode to take on the tree sentinel and continue on into the lands between. So like I said, we're going to be doing a lot of exploring at first, and we're going to be doing a lot of preliminary stuff to get weapons and get certain loots and get runes so that we can level up and stuff like that. And then once we are at a certain point in levels and materials and runes and stuff like that, we will actually start going through all of the dungeons and the caves and continuing through the actual story and finishing quests and stuff like that. So there'll be a lot of episodes of just doing legwork and gathering things and searching for stuff, and it's going to take a while. This game is massive. It is one of the biggest games I've ever played my entire life. So we will get it done, but it is not going to be an easy feat. It is going to be extremely, extremely tedious. But I promise it is fun and it is worth it. This game is beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and level up and then spend whatever runes I got left. So you want to get vigor to 40 as soon as possible. So the faster we get that up to 40, the more we can focus on our other stats. So I kind of do a thing where I go 2 vigor and then 1 to each of the other stats, then 2 vigor, then 1 to each of the other stats, just so vigor is constantly the highest stat in going forward. We have as much health as possible, and this keeps us from dying in one hit, which is very, very important. People forget to level up their vigor, and they go into a boss fight and they just can't get through it, and they keep dying and they don't know why, and it's because they just take one hit and they go down. So the higher your vigor, the easier this game is going to be for you, I promise. I know it's like you want to upgrade your faith or your intelligence or your strength so you can use the cool weapons. I promise that's coming. And also, most of the weapons in the game, they don't go too high. Like, I think some of the higher weapons are about around 40 to 50. So getting your attributes up into like 100 or something like that, not even worth it. Well, first you can't, because you can only go to level 99, and that's the cap. But you don't need to. Our attributes are probably going to be around 60 for vigor, and whatever our 2 attack attributes are, they're going to be about around 60. And then these ones will be around like 40 or 30, and that'll be enough to end the entire game. So we picked up a ton of stuff, and I know it's going to seem tedious and boring and you know, aggravating for me to read this all to you guys, but this is where we get the meat of the lore for the game, is from reading these item descriptions. So we're just going to go through each one at a time. Craftable item prepared using a cracked pot. A cocktail of incendiary materials is sealed inside. Throw at enemies to inflict fire damage. So, a delicate goldwork ring can be used as a finger whistle. Sound the whistle to summon and ride Torrent, the spectral steed. Dismount steed when used while on horseback. Upon his death, the spectral steed can be summoned again, but doing so drains the flask of crimson tears. Whoa, I'm so sorry. An animal bone sharpened into a knife, throwing craftable item. Throw at enemies to inflict damage. Short dagger for throwing. It has no hand guard. The blade is polished and its weight is expertly balanced. Throw at enemies to deal damage. This auxiliary weapon, used primarily to constrain an enemy's movements, can still be deadly in the right hands. A large knife used for throwing. Its curved blade is sharp and enough to slice flesh cleanly. Throw at enemies to inflict damage and build up an onset of blood loss. Now, blood loss is one of the infinities that we will go over in a different episode. I don't want to bog you down with stuff that you're not going to understand because we can't see it or use it at the moment. This heavy throwing weapon is unsuitable for swift attacks, but it is able to inflict heavy damage. So like I said, they throw slow, but they do extremely good damage. Stone fragment found near places where ruins have fallen from the sky. Can be used for crafting or simply throwing at enemies. These shards of stone are believed to have once been part of a temple in the sky. They glow with the faint light from within. Astrology tool used by the members of the Carrion royal family. A stolen part of a larger instrument. Allows the viewer to better see faraway things. During the age of the Erd-tree, carrion astrology withered on the vine. The fate once writ in the night skies had been fettered by the Golden Order. Now, what's interesting is that I told you nothing is done in this game by accident. So this says that it's an astrology tool used by the members of the Carrion royal family, which will go into their castle later on, stolen part of a larger instrument, which tells us one of two things. Kale has come into contact with somebody that stole this, or Kale, that merchant that we bought this from, stole this himself. So that is how we put together the story in this game, because the game will not tell it to you. So that's the reason that I'm reading these item descriptions, and I'm just going to do it once for each item, but just so you guys have the information, and as we're going through the story, you might be confused by some things, and you're like, what is even going on in the game? This will shed some light on that. Grace that dwells within the inhabitants of the lands between, the lingering trace of gold, used to gain 200 runes. So these are the ones that we find in the skulls on the ground. And you can crack them by just going into your inventory and using them, and you crack them and you gain the runes, or you can sell them to merchants. It's a lot faster to sell them. Runes are nourishment for the development of any Tarnished, provided a finger maiden can be found, which we now have. And it says the same thing for all the runes, only it tells you how much each one is. So this is a gold rune 2, and then there's gold rune 3, gold rune 4, gold rune 5, and I think it goes up to about 12 or something. And then it starts to turn into names of runes. So you found a hero rune and a lord rune, and those are worth quite a bit, around like 50,000 runes. The Tarnished Furled Finger, item for online play, can also be used for multiplayer menu. Creates a summon sign for cooperative multiplayer. Arrive as a cooperator Furled Finger, with the objective of defeating the area boss of the world to which you were summoned. A finger of corpse wax, furled like a hook. It is a relic of those who came before, left to those who would come after. This is what you use to play with your friends. Item for online play can also be used from the multiplayer menu. Send a cooperative summon sign to several summoning pools. Now, summoning pool is where we got this from. It was right outside by where Varre was standing. I'll show it to you guys again when we run into them. We're going to see hundreds of them. In cooperative multiplayer, your objective will be defeat the area boss of the world to which you were summoned, but this allows you to send your sign to any of the pools you have activated. So you can go write down your summon sign next to that effigy, and then it'll appear at every single effigy that you have turned on. So if you just want to play in whatever area, randomly, but you don't have to travel to them, but you can have your sign go to them all simultaneously. So that's what that's for. Now, the Finger Severer, item for online play, can also be used from the multiplayer menu. Use as a host of fingers to select a summoned player and send them back to their world. Use when you have been summoned to another player's world to return to your own world. And this Phantom Blade severs the link formed by a furled finger, but the maidens scorn those who abuse its use. So if you get summoned to another player's world and you want to go back to yours, for whatever reason, this is what you use. Or if you're a host and you had summoned somebody else, you can use this to send them back to your world. You cannot use it to send back invaders. Invaders are in your world until you or the invader dies. And we'll go over that later when we have to. And this one we already read because we got it in the first episode. And we already read all the flasks and stuff like that. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell. Used to summon the spirit of 3 lone wolves. Spirits of wolves, chased from their pack, they later encountered a nameless Tarnished, who welcomed them as a hunting companions. The wolf spirits overwhelm enemies with their agility, aiding the summoner in combat. Now we got a lot of material to read through, but unfortunately this is going to be sort of a thing as we're getting new materials going throughout the game. But once we get to a certain point in the game, we're not going to have any new materials that we're going to be finding. So it's just going to happen for the first few episodes, and then it'll stop, gradually, us having to read these items. So I apologize. A slice of thinly carved beast flesh, material used for crafting, found by hunting herbivorous beasts. The dried meat toughens the constitution. Boosting resistance. It's known for its long-lasting effects. Dried liver boosts damage negation. There's not too much lore in these ones. These are just telling you what they do. Meat suitable for rustic feast. Considered an especially nutritious ingredient in the south of the lands between. That's a little bit of a lore there. The glimmering blood never rots or decays. That's interesting. These multiple overlapping fangs grow from a single root. Perhaps they're a vestige of a primordial crucible. Now you'll find out what a crucible is later, and that makes a lot of sense actually, so that's kind of interesting. I'm just learning about that myself. I've never read the old fang description, so that is interesting. Commonly used used for arrow fletchings. That's how you make your arrows go further. Four-toed fowlfoot. We got this from a bird. In the lands between, having 3 digits is seen as a bad omen. As such, the four-toed fowl's foot is a gift of great luck indeed. We use these to make items that help us gain more runes and help us discover rare items. Prized as a symbol of the most sublime slumber. And then these are how we make arrows. These are how we make big, great arrows or bolts. And then long believed to have the ability to neutralize poisons. The great dragonfly head that we were finding from those little dragonflies that were punching us in the face and laughing at us. Smoldering butterfly. An eternally burning butterfly found near wildfires and elsewhere. Serve as kindling for a number of items. And then we read this in the first episode. Now let's read this one. Someone's excrement. It has golden tinge. Material used for crafting items, often hidden in woods and thickets. Gold-tinged excrement is a highly stable substance. It doesn't dry out, nor does it lose its customary warmth or scent. For better or worse, it remains as it is. That's nasty. Alright, rowa fruit. Berry-like red fruits that grow in shrubs, material used for crafting items, easily found everywhere in the lands between. It has a wide variety of uses. This is a very common medicinal plant, can be found in thickets and elsewhere. Very important. Unbelievably important. Same with these. These arteria leaves, they don't respawn. Now, a lot of these items will respawn as you go through the game, like the rowa fruit. This one doesn't, and neither do these butterflies. So that's why they say they're exceedingly rare to find. Same with this, exceedingly rare to find. If it says exceedingly rare to find, that means that item does not respawn, and if you want to get another one, you have to start a New Game Plus. So once you go into New Game Plus, then they'll respawn. So these arteria leaves are super valuable. There's only about 50 or 60 of them in the game, but there is one creature in the game that drops them, but it's a very rare drop, and the creature is very, very difficult to fight and take down. So you can farm them, but it's not easy at all. So these arteria leaves are super duper valuable because they make some unbelievably useful items towards the end of the game, or towards the middle of the game, I should say. So arteria leaves, dark red leaves with thick swollen veins, material used for crafting items, exceedingly rare to find. Faint pulse can be felt in the veins, stirs the blood, providing an enlivening effect. Its thick, spongy flesh makes it a key component for throwing pots. A dusky yellow flower that has started to fade to brown, found throughout the lands between, said to be fed by leaves that fell from the Ep.3 in the days of antiquity. Flower that grows in toxic terrain, material used for crafting items, dripping with deep green poisonous liquid. A large flower that blooms facing the Ep.3. Though wilted and faded, it still retains holy essence. This is how we make holy materials. Root resin. This is unbelievably valuable. The roots of the great tree were once linked to those of the Ep.3, or so they say, and it is for this reason catacombs are built around great tree roots. So this root resin is how we make some very useful items in the game. Very useful. Smithing stone. Stones used to smith a variety of armaments. A shard found in plenty. Strengthen armaments up to +3. We're not going to go into upgrading weapons yet. We're not going to go into it for a couple of episodes because it's a little confusing and I don't want to overwhelm you guys. There's a ton of information coming at you in these next few episodes, so we're going to take it just a little by little, but I promise you we're going to get there. It's very good that we have 4 smithing stones from fighting soldiers. We can already upgrade our weapon once. So we will get into all of that and what we need and how to do it once we go to upgrade our weapon. But for the first few episodes, for quite a while, we're not going to need to do that. The area we're in, at base level, the weapons are going to do enough damage to get us through. So smithing stones found throughout the lands between, and mining galleries built to excavate it can be found everywhere. Alright, our cracked pots. This empty pot somehow mends itself when broken. Essential vessel for crafting cracked pot items. The materials and magic sealed within deploy their effects when the pot is thrown. So like I said, we made one by using the smoldering butterflies and the mushrooms. And so once we throw that, the pot is gone. You know, the fire and the mushroom inside are depleted, but the pot remains. The empty pot remains in our inventory, and we just go back in and make another bomb. So we find 20 of these in the game, and then we can make different pots that have different effects. It's very awesome, very useful. Crafting kit. Leather bag containing a pestle and mortar, small blade, and various other tools. Enables item crafting from the main menu. Provides both means to fight and means to survive. And then these are the books that give us the different abilities and recipes to make different items. So down here it says bow and arrow fletched, and bow and bolt. So without this book, you don't have the option to make those arrows. This one allows us to make the glowstones, invigorated cured meat, and invigorated white meat. And this one allows us to make the holy water pot and roped holy water pot. This is the bell that allows us to summon our spirit ashes. Now, some of these items, they're just called key items. They're not anything that you equip. They're just something that you have now, and it gives you the ability to do something, but you don't need to equip the item. These crafting kits and the books and this bell and this whetstone knife, those are those type of items. You don't need to equip these to use them. They're just now in your inventory, and they're key items to the game that are going to now give you new abilities. So they're just there. We're going to read the descriptions, and then you're never going to look at them again. A bell capable of summoning various spirits from ashen remains. It usually requires FP to use. Spirits can only be summoned in the vicinity of a rebirth monument. That's that little white shadow arc that you saw appear on the left side of the screen that I showed you. When summoning is possible, the monument icon will be visible on the left side of the screen, as I just said. Only one type of spirit may be summoned at once, and none may be summoned during multiplayer. So if you've summoned a friend, you cannot summon any spirits anywhere. Whetstone knife. Whetstone with a cipher inscription made to look like a small knife blade. Allows the use of ashes of war at a site of grace to bestow new battle arts and affinities to armaments and as skills. The battle arts and affinities will depend on the ashes of war used. We're going to go into all of that when we actually do it. But until then, just keep it out of your mind. It's not going to affect you. So don't worry about it. We will get to it. This is the first map that we found. Map of western region of Limgrave. The Demesne of Limgrave, far south of the Ep.3, is bordered to the northwest by the cliffs of Stormvale, and under its ever-clouded skies roll the great steppes of the Pale Lands. So Stormvale, for some odd reason, is never not under a storm. It always has, as it says, under its ever-clouded skies. That's where we get the lore from. This is the description of the stories and everything that you need to read and know in order to understand the story behind this game. Ashes of War. So this is a skill. Storm Stomp, one of the skills that challenge the Tempest of Stormvale, the castle. Stomp hard on the ground to kick up a momentary storm. This isn't a very useful skill, to be honest. It blocks arrows and bolts, but aside from that, it's just like kind of a throwaway skill that they give you for free. So we're not going to use it ever, actually. I'm going to be honest. Never going to touch that. Well-crafted straight sword with an illustrious design, wielded by regulars of a lord's army. Though blackened and damaged by years of use, it appears to have otherwise been kept in a serviceable condition, despite the soldiers having long since lost their minds. And then square off was that. The skill starts with the sword held at level, follow up with a normal attack to slash upwards through an enemy's guard, or a strong attack to perform a running thrust, which is what you saw me doing. Lord Sworn's Great Sword. Well-crafted straight sword with an illustrious design, wielded by regulars of a lord's army. Though blackened and damaged by years of use, it appears that's the same thing as the other one because it's from the same army, I suppose. And then the stampward uppercut was the one you saw me knocking them into the air. Brace armament and step into a low stance to prevent recoil from most enemy attacks. That's what it was doing. Follow up with a strong attack for an upward strike. And then we already read through this. And then the flail, weapon consisting of a bludgeoning head attached to a handle by a chain. The iron ball is spiked to induce blood loss. Now, blood loss is an infinity that we'll go over when we actually have to use it. Blows from this weapon cannot be parried. Again, parrying is a skill from a shield that we will go over when we actually have to use it. The charge attack whirls the iron ball around for increased force before striking. Spinning chain is the skill. Spins the striking part of the flail at high speed to attack. Follow up with normal or strong attack to link the momentum of the skill into successive attacks. And I'll utilize the skill once I actually have the dexterity to be able to do it, because right now, I don't. And I wouldn't be able to show it to you even if I want to. Alright, ammunition used for crossbows. A widespread common type of bolt. Well-crafted bolt with an illustrious design, wielded by regulars of a lord's army. Deals more damage than its commonplace cousin. Ooh, didn't even know I picked up some helms. Helm worn by soldiers loyal to Godric the Grafted. Made from durable iron, layered with a chainmail coif beneath. Armor made of a woven chain, standard issue for ordinary soldiers. Though plain in appearance, it offers dependable protection. Armor worn by soldiers loyal to Godric the Grafted. The surcoat depicts the distant Erd tree and the beast regent, an emblem of the gold lineage. Both symbols of glory now past. Both are symbols of glory now past. Leggings made of woven chain, standard issue for any soldier. And greaves worn by soldiers loyal to Godric the Grafted, rust worn and stained through unending conflict. Then these are the notes that I bought, so you don't have to buy these. I'm going to buy them for you guys so that you know what's in them and you can save your runes, okay? So, note sold by merchant, imparting knowledge in brief. A flask of wondrous physics still remains in the Third Church America, north of the Mistwood. Cross the highway bridge and follow the animal trail north. We're good there. Waypoint ruins. Note sold by nomadic merchant, imparting knowledge in brief. Someone lurks among the waypoint ruins on the roads through Limgrave. And we'll go through that too. These were all the tutorials that we got from, picking stuff up and going through the Cave of Knowledge, so we don't need to read through these again. We're reading them as we're getting them, so that is all of the item descriptions that we have right now. And so we got a little bit of lore, and we got our whetstone so that we can apply Ashes of Wars to our weapon, and we went through our first camp, we got our first level ups and stuff like that, so we are done for the day. And next time we will take out our first boss. And then after we take out our boss, we're going to actually travel into the Lands Between. We're going to go into this area. So, until next time, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.